Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to tell you about this podcast. It's called The DK Project, but it's really The Darren Show. The DK Project is a radio show, but without the radio. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
Let's go!
Welcome to the DK Project. Today's episode is brought to you by Grady Restoration. If you've got some home repairs or think you might have some hail damage, snow damage, fire damage, any of that kind of stuff, give the good folks at Grady Restoration a call. You can reach them at 952-472-1570 or check them out on the web at gradyrestoration.com. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors this year for supporting us and helping us with the show and keeping things rolling along. This probably is our last episode before the Christmas holiday, so we want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy Merry Christmas, all of the above. We'd like to thank everyone who makes the podcast possible, from all our range and co-hosts and guests that have stopped by. We want to thank the Big Easy and all the other folks that make everything happen throughout the year for this podcast. We couldn't do it without you. Thanks again, and Merry Christmas from the DK Project. Welcome back to the DK Project, episode 132. Off to a rough start on a Monday, which happens. That's all right. We're going with the flow. Today we've got chiming in from Chicago. Oh, my stomach is growling as I think of Illuminatis. Ooh, I need a moment. On the Zoom with us today is Kristin Naomi Garcia. She is, the list is long, right? Actress, voiceover, podcaster.
Yep.
Where does it start? Where does it end?
Host. Funny person. I don't know. I personally, I don't want it to end. Maybe some people do sometimes, depending on how good or bad the comedy is. Good morning and welcome Monday. I could not be hungrier now. Thank you for mentioning Lou's. I wish I could have a cold. The thing is about pizza, you know it's good if you can eat it cold from the fridge on a Monday morning. That is the true test.
You know,
this is always what I talk to New Yorkers about. They're like, oh, New York pizza. No. You can have deep dish hot or cold. That is a true test of a great slice of pizza.
You can't do that with thin? No.
Not really. It's not the same. I'm sorry. It's not the same. And we have thin slices here too. We have like Bocce's. It looks like Ninja Turtle pizza. Like it's huge. So we have all kinds of pizza here, but the deep dish, that's the thing. You can have that. That's like a Chicago quiche almost. You could have that for breakfast.
Oh, quiche. Look at you. I'm going to have to put a translation in there for my non-Minnesota listeners.
Yeah. Quiche fancy. It's basically, it's like the same thing. There's just no eggs in the middle. It's just,
You know what I like to do with a deep dish on the second day though, is you pull it off the crust and put it in with eggs.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get this big by not knowing my way around the kitchen.
You know what? I could do that. I could look at I'm getting ideas.
But
I'm making new recipes in my head right now.
You're doing one of those. So all right. So give us so you're vegan, right? You said that?
Yeah, it would be fake eggs, but yes, I would still do it.
And is that a temporary thing or is that a
No.
How long have you been doing that?
A little over 8 years now.
Holy
And then
crap.
I started vegetarian when I was, I think we're going on almost 20 years now without meat. Almost.
What do you do about bacon?
Was it 2000? Yeah. So
how do you get your bacon?
I watch other people talk about it. That's what I do. It's not really that big a thing for me.
Really?
I just never was a huge bacon person in general. So
does it really end up, is it, because I'm actually, as we're speaking of all this good food, I'm getting a email I have someone putting a meal plan together for me to try and fix this morbid obesity that I've been playing with for a while. And so hearing of all this is, I could never go vegan though. I couldn't even go vegetarian, but I get it. And some people do it for medical, some people do it, for whatever. So there's all the different reasons, but if you're like a fan of Illuminatis, how do you just stop going? I mean, that's my problem. How do you just quit?
Here's the thing. So
do they make like a patch like for the smokers?
I mean, and I was a smoker too. It's been 10 years. September was 10 years. I used to smoke Newport 100s. I was like a pack or two a day.
Really?
I'm not even joking. Quick cold turkey.
No packs, no nothing?
Nope. I've not had one craving literally in 10 years. So it really is a mindset. And I always say, and I know it sounds a little cliche, but it really isn't. I practice, I don't preach. So I talk about it. It's a part of my life, but it's not my whole life.
Yeah.
And so if you want to eat healthier and, that's a part of something that you want, then that's fantastic. If it's not, no problem. It's not something that I push on other people. I'm not one of those preachy vegans,
right.
like you need to do this. You can do whatever you want. I feel like it works for me. It works for my lifestyle. I cook all the time. I'm Spanish, Guatemalan, Italian, and French. Like I cook a lot.
So like what can you eat?
Amazing food.
Because vegan means
I eat
no dairy, no meat, no.
No, and you can still eat really well and eat really healthy. And, I'm very grateful to, have been a part of, this vegan lifestyle, but it's not really a lifestyle. It's just a part of my life, so I just kind of adapted all my recipes and I test out my recipes on my meat eater friends. I'll make like a vegan potato salad. They're like, it's delicious. And we're talking like people that we're talking friends that I have that are in their 50s, 60s. They've been eating meat their entire life. And they're like, this is delicious.
Really?
So if they say it's good, I know it's good. It's not just like I'm trying to, I convince myself it's not all tofu. Trust me. It's not.
Okay. Now, since you brought it up, where do you sit on tofu? Are you a firm? Are you a not firm?
I'm like medium on it. It's like más o menos. Like I could give or take on that. It really, to me, that's not the main course. It's just, I could throw it in here or there, but I rarely actually cook with tofu.
Really?
That's
you know
not
what I
use.
had one time? No. I was at a bar here in Minneapolis and they had deep fried tofu, like buffalo style. Oh, ridiculously good.
Yeah. I'm telling you, just like a good steak, if it's not seasoned right and it's not cooked right, it's not going to taste right. Right?
That's true. I actually have a 20-year-old son who makes a better steak than I do.
You give it taste.
What's that?
So tofu doesn't have a taste. It's just bean curd. That's it.
Yeah.
If you take it out of the package, it doesn't taste like anything. So you have to season it. You have to marinate it. You have to cook it correctly, just like anything else. Just like a good piece of steak. It's going to taste good if you make it good.
That is, more power to you. I'm going to have to try it sometime. I was kind of amazed by the buffalo tofu that I had, but it was deep. You could deep fry anything and I'll eat it.
Exactly. You can deep fry your sofa. You could gnaw on that for hours. You know what I mean?
I snuck across the border on Friday to get to the Milwaukee Burger Company, and they do a deep fried portobello mushroom.
Oh,
I think I would walk over glass to get that.
Done.
But the rest of it, no more. I'm not eating that shit no more. I felt bad all weekend for eating that crap. Wah.
Yeah. I mean, anything deep fried, you gotta
moderation.
And just because it's vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. That's what I want people to know too. Just because it's vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. Some of the worst things on the earth, potato chips, Coca-Cola, like Mexican Coke from Mexico, that like glass bottle, that's vegan. There's actually vegan stuff everywhere. Fast food and everything. It doesn't mean it's good for you. So chemicals are vegan. They're just not good for you. So if you want to be healthy, you got to be healthy. If you want to go vegan or like gluten-free, I
tried that.
Chemicals are gluten-free too. They don't throw gluten into chemicals.
So how did all this start? You're a native Chicagoan or what?
Yes, Chicagoan. I love that. Nobody says that. I love it. What do you say? You're starting this, Darren. Chicagoan. I love it. Yes, born and raised in Chicago. I was living in California for 4 years, and I came back to Chicago. I missed it so much.
Are you Cubs or Sox?
I'm Sox. Oh, all the way. Go Sox. Oh,
what's the differentiating line for that? Like who's Cubs and who's like how? Is it North Side, South Side?
We're talking about this during football season. Okay. How do I put this lightly and not, it's a very touchy subject.
Oh, is it really?
It's kind of like, Boston, Red Sox, Yankees, it's a big rivalry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people don't understand. So I lived in San Diego for 4 years, and they have the Padres. Everybody goes opening day, and then they really forget that they have like baseball teams or teams in general. RIP Clippers and Chargers. So it's really interesting to like go to that kind of city, but be in a town like Chicago where, I mean, our crosstown is everything. It is everything. So it really, technically it's split up by north side, south side.
Okay.
But I don't know, to a lot of people, I guess it just, it really is a lot of where you grew up, but it is a lot of where maybe your family grew up as well too. Like my father grew up on the south side, then moved to the north side. He was a Sox fan, so I was a Sox fan. My brother was a Cubs fan. My mom was a Yankees fan, and then my oldest brother just wanted to wear cool hats, so he was a Sox fan. Wow. So I mean, it really just depends.
Because there is quite a little strife between the two. Like it's not
little. I wouldn't say little.
But you don't play. Do you play each other every year?
Yeah, crosstown is every year. So we usually do a three-day homestand at each park. Wow. So it starts usually Wrigley and ends at Comiskey.
Wow. So, yeah, I see.
So
I
it's usually for bragging rights. This past season, it actually counted. So it was a big deal.
Why did it count?
Well, we only had 60 games this past season. It was a shortened season.
Yeah.
That actually counted.
My twins took a dive. They were supposed. This was supposed to be our year.
We are in. We're in the same division, my friend. And unfortunately, I feel like your twins are going to have a even worse year because my Sox are going to take it this coming season. 2021, baby.
Look
Go
at
Sox.
you. More power to them.
We've been making moves. We have been making moves. So
well, they should because they've been dormant for a little while.
Yeah, like a long while, like way too long.
When was the last time they won?
15 years. Gosh.
That's still better than us.
It's been so long.
I think we're coming up
not as long as the other drought, but we won't talk about that. I was in California, so it never happened. So to me,
there you go.
The other team never happened. I was in California, and nobody cares about
count. That makes sense. How happy are you to be out of California? When did you get out of there?
I came back 2 years ago. Just in time for so we had a polar vortex when I left, and then a polar vortex when I came back. So I have really good timing on that.
Wow.
So I had to readjust. I came back in October of 2000, what was it, 18? And we had 50 below zero temps like a month or two later. And I was used to,
how do you come back to that?
75 degrees every day. Oh my gosh.
I can't even imagine. My daughter goes to San Diego State and she's home right now. But I'm like, I couldn't do California, but like, Arizona, like just warm all the time. I don't know. Doesn't the winter just kill you?
I mean, Arizona is nice, but desert is weird though. It goes from really hot, and then once the sun goes down, it's absolutely freezing.
Yeah.
So that I think that the two, are so extreme. I feel like that really it didn't settle with me because I'm used to gradual, temps and. The thing is, it's weird. It's like, well, I'm saying that from Chicago, and it's we've had like freezing temps during the day. There was one day where it flash flooded. It went from freezing temperatures down to about I think it went or up to, I should say, like 72 in the afternoon. So it was like a 50-degree difference in the matter of a couple hours, and all the ice was like flash flooding everywhere. People were like trying to get like to the bus and the train, like walking in the sidewalk, and everyone's slipping. This one guy had like glacier, those like ice pick shoes, you were like climbing Mount Everest. This one guy's walking down the street like, I'm glad these came in handy, and everybody hated him.
The one time I get to use them.
The one time, like you're not going to use those, but that one day it came in handy. But that's what happens. It's like we have that once in a while. And so I feel like we can adjust to it. It's like really windy, or there's a weird tornado thunderstorm, and we get thunder snow or something during a blizzard, but it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas every day in Arizona or in the desert, it just goes from hot and then it's cold.
I got to a point too when I was in Arizona.
Felt freezing. That's so weird.
That there are no clouds in the, in Arizona, there's no clouds in the sky, and it's just like kicking your ass kind of sun. And it's like, I could use a little bit of cover, but I'm looking. I've got a 14-year-old who's a freshman in high school. And when he leaves for college, I'm not spending another winter here. No way. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I want to go though. There's no perfect spot. So
there really isn't. That is probably the most perfect weather in the entire country. Technically, it used to be 75 all the time before, this whole climate change thing happened.
Yeah.
Because it definitely did. And everything's on fire in California. So California's not even safe anymore.
No.
That used to be like the one place where, people would go to retire. They're like, oh, okay, we're older and we have our savings and we're going to go west and we're going to just settle. And now you can't even go there because your house is going to be on fire.
Right.
So, and I remember the first week, the first like couple days I went into San Diego, it was like 105 or something. People were driving on the expressway and their tires, like the rubber was melting.
Come on.
Because it was so hot. I'm not even joking. They had to pull off. Everybody was pulling off because their tires were just melting on the expressway. It's so hot. And so I was sitting there like, are you guys sure you have perfect weather here? I mean, that was a joke in Anchorman all the time. Steve Carell's character, that's why he was like, he wasn't the smartest guy because you don't need to be smart to be a meteorologist in San Diego.
Same thing every day.
But now that's changed. So
wow. I've been out there a couple times and there's a whole thing there, but I like the East Coast too. It's just, I don't think the East Coast gets warm enough.
But the thing is the Atlantic is a warm ocean, whereas the Pacific is cold. I didn't know that. Also, I'm from Chicago. I don't go in the lake.
Why did you go out there?
Oh my God. I don't even put my feet in the lake. Lake Michigan is gross. I'm sorry. You have to go to actual Michigan for a lake. You don't go to Lake Michigan in Chicago to like swim. I always think it's weird.
Isn't it the same lake?
People swim in Lake Michigan. No, it's not this. No, it's not the same lake. There's like cement shoes, wink, wink. You know what I mean? There's like airplanes. There was an oil spill, in Indiana, like a couple of years ago. Yeah. You don't swim in Lake Michigan. Trust me. You do not do that unless you're up in actual Michigan. So I didn't know. I mean, I was in freshwater because you're what do you have? You have
we have all the lakes. We
have all the lakes. So you know what lake living is like. I call it the mid coast. Because it's the closest thing we have to an ocean. It really does look like an ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're on Lakeshore Drive or LSD, we call it, if you're on LSD, which is the only time that's appropriate in any form. I can say that. But when you're driving, it looks like an ocean. It looks like a beachfront. It looks like a beach. But it's very, very different. And so when I was in California, I didn't realize. I was like, oh, it's warm. But you have the cold front coming in, and so the Pacific is freezing.
Yeah.
So you put your feet in, it takes months for it to warm up. I had no clue. But the Atlantic, that's warm because you get the front from the south and it warms everything. Thanks, Titanic, for clearing that up.
Very meteorologically speaking today. I like that.
Yeah, I'm educating the masses is what I'm doing.
Yes.
Don't just jump in the Pacific Ocean. That's why you need a bodysuit.
Well, or just go to the other side.
Or just go. Honestly, New York smells, but the water is warm. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I would do that. No way.
No,
I've been up to
nobody should be in the Hudson ever.
We have the Lake Superior, our Great Lake, and I went up there one time, and there's like a boardwalk and whatever hotels, and the waves were crashing damn near into the hotels. Like it gets ugly on that thing, and the weather, I don't know, cold, wet, yuck. Like today outside, it looks like it's gonna rain, and it's freaking, what is it, the 21st, 22nd?
Have you guys gotten any snow yet?
None,
right? Yeah, we haven't really either, which is really odd.
It just seems weird.
Last year it was pretty much the same thing where we had one major snowstorm on Halloween and then nothing.
Well, and don't you think if it's going to get cold like this, that should actually have snow? I mean, if we're going to have cold, let's have snow. Otherwise, I'm not the biggest fan of snow, but you're right. I'd rather have snow than freezing rain because freezing rain is terrible. That is. You live right in Chicago, like downtown?
I'm north side, so I'm about maybe 15 minutes from downtown.
Suburb, you have to drive?
No, I'm in the city.
Oh, you are?
It's just you're talking downtown. The Loop is no one lives in the Loop really. Like unless you're like super corporate. Nobody that's doing podcasts lives in the loop. Let me tell you that. Okay. No one is podcasting from the loop. Unless you're literally on a radio station.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. But everybody, no, I'm in Avondale, which is around the loop. It's one of the, Northwest neighborhoods.
And you've found, like, you're a working actress, and you found that there's a lot of stuff in Chicago to keep you busy.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Like you were saying,
Chicago's booming now. Absolutely. This has changed so much. And that's a great question, because Chicago was only once in a while, it was, Blues Brothers or, Home Alone, it was John Hughes for a while. And it was just once in a while, you had one big, it was always, or Ferris Bueller, like everybody knows like certain films are in Chicago,
right.
Batman, Christopher Nolan's Batman, like Dark Knight series. And so people just kind of knew us for anytime anything was shot in Chicago, you knew it was Chicago. And now CineSpace has opened. So that is our Chicago Hollywood. It's our Chicago Wood, basically. And so CineSpace has now just become this epicenter of television and film. And it is not only just thriving, it is growing exponentially.
Really?
And I've been lucky enough to be working with, pretty much every major show that's come in and been working in Chicago. Obviously, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med. Dick Wolf has been amazing to us. He is such a phenomenal guy. And we have the Chicago one that we're working with and crossing over for many years now, which I'm so, like I said, really grateful to be working with and on.
That's
so I've
cool.
been standing in on those shows. Empire. There's a new show called Next. It's actually it's premiered on Fox now. It's it's airing. So I've been
Next?
really grateful, and working on films as well too. So yeah, it's just it is not the same Chicago. It is a different kind of Chicago now.
That, because people don't expect that. People don't think of Chicago being a hot. It's funny because I talk to a lot of people with the podcast, and the other hotbed is Atlanta. Atlanta's like crazy. Like these people are, I thought I'd try it and I got into it, and not making it seem like it's that easy, but it's that easy. But you've been doing it. When did you start? When, like, are you a commercial kid or what?
Like starts? Yeah.
Were you really?
It's kind of weird. I don't think of myself as that kind of kid, because I didn't go like into the industry full force when I was a kid. But yeah, I technically my first ever, I did extra work for Rookie of the Year when I was like about 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was my first kind of taste of the industry, and I had a blast, and that's not, my brother hated it. Like my brother, my mother, and I think my mother knew I kind of had, I kind of maybe could have, like that, acting kind of film process. And she was absolutely right. Like I loved it. I had a blast filming for that, because we had to do like little crowd scene. It was, it was just a couple of us. It was probably about 10 to 12 people. And we were just, yay. Oh, boo. Like pictures got a big, but like that kind of stuff. And it was great. And then they just CGI'd all, because you can't pay 20,000 people to be in a stadium. Even in the 90s, they were like, that's not possible. So, but we got to meet the whole cast, and, I still have a pennant from, they signed it for me because we played the Casey Royals. That was the day that we were there. And so they gave us pennants for Casey, and then they signed it and everything. They were really gracious. And just, it was a great day. And so, from then I had my first major motion picture audition. I was like 8 or 9, I think, for the Babysitters Club in the 90s. Yeah. And so that was, that's going far back. And then I just, I was doing ballet, I was doing dance. I was doing, as much theater and plays as I could, and started doing sketch comedy in high school, and, did it. And I studied, I studied theater in college, and then I just really got back into it. In like maybe the last 10 years, like full force. like really like going into commercial work and television and film and web series and hosting and, pretty much whatever anyone will, work with me with, and what I've been grateful to do. It's just fun. I've just had a blast doing it. I'm so happy to be able to be a part of what I'm doing. And it's great to, have people laugh and have a great time, especially like right now. Like this is why you go into like what you're doing. Yeah. I feel like as a creative, every musician, every painter, every writer, every actor, like every comedian, like all of us, I feel like everybody I've been listening to, because I've been reading a lot. I've been, listening to podcasts, and I've been, I've been part of like virtual, even like art events, like gallery events. I've been listening to all these creatives talk about how awesome and just beautiful it is to be a part of such a difficult time, because this is the time that we get to help. We get to, it's difficult for us too, but we get to help people feel better and feel good about, and remember why that they love these songs and these people and these times. And, it's such a weird, wonderful time to be a creative. And
that's very true.
I'm just being a part of it. So
I think you're exactly right. And it's not ending anytime soon. So
no.
We will definitely have to figure out how we're going to move into the new 2021, because it's not just going to go away. But were your parents into acting? How did
No, I mean, I had a little bit of my mother was a photographer.
Okay.
She was an amazing photographer. Oh my gosh. She was she would never have talked about it, but she won awards. And
really,
she was brilliant at photography, and she was in bands in the 70s. So she played guitar, and she sang in like folk bands in the 70s. Wow. So I had that in my family. And her brother was an artist. So I feel like that part of the family. And then my oldest brother is he's a professional DJ. He's been DJing forever. DJ Obi-Wan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
is that a name I should know?
Shout out to my big bro. I mean, if you don't know, now you know.
Wow.
He's been DJing forever. But yeah, so I feel like we definitely have creatives in the family.
I think if you're a DJ and you have DJ Obi-Wan as your name,
his name is Ben. His name is Ben. So it's Obi-Wan, not Obi-Wan. So it's a play on words.
Oh no, I got that.
We're a nerdy family. I just want to clear that up.
The fact that was available for him, you know what I mean? So he must have been around a long time, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. So he started this. He's been DJing since he was like 18. I won't tell. I mean, I hope Ben doesn't care. I mean, he's in his 40s now.
Sure.
So, I mean, he's been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
he's been doing it for a long time. So when he started doing it, that was available. Nobody really cared. I mean, he was giving out, I remember, I think I still have one of them, like mixtapes. Now it used to be, it went from like cassette tapes to CDs to now you just download it, or you don't pay for it at all and you just go on YouTube or something.
Yeah.
But he had like green and blue and purple, like those clear ones, but colored. It was so it was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I would show my friends and be like, this is my brother's like DJ tape, like whatever, you can listen to it or not, like whatever. Like I thought it was the coolest thing.
Oh yeah.
But that was the thing back in the 90s. It was like,
I don't even think my kids know what a cassette is.
I hope eventually you will show them, you will get a pencil or a pen and show them a cassette tape.
I want to tighten the thing back up when it goes loose.
This is how we fix things.
Original. Yes. No, that was like me with the record. I don't think I ever owned a record player.
Really?
No, never did.
Man.
I think my parents had one, but I didn't. I don't know. I went right to cassettes, dumped right in there, and then boom, off and running. But cassette was kind of like they're starting to bring back records. I mean, records are back.
They've been back.
Yeah, I'm showing my age.
They've been back. I personally, when I was in high school, I would go to, there was a shop called Beyond the Limit. I don't know if it's still there. It's by the Hip, which is Harlem and Irving Plaza, but it's called the Hip. and Rolling Stones. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's like like a really famous music store, and it's like two doors down from it. And Beyond the Limit, I used to go there when I was a kid, or Rolling Stones, and I would get like 45s. I would have like $2.
Really?
You know, I'd have no money. I was broke. You know, I was like a little punk kid in high school, and I would just get punk 45s, and I'd be like, all right, I have $2. I'd go through the clearance bin, and I'd be like, all right, these are it. And I would just sit in my living room and like spread them out and just play records.
Really?
And just listen to them.
Do you still have
I love
them?
the sound of vinyl. It does sound different.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Do you still have those?
Maybe somewhere. I hope so. But they're like, I mean, it's not really collector's items. I feel like maybe they are now. Who knows? But it was just, you know, it was, to me, music is a huge part of my life. I've also managed bands and stuff. And I love music so much. Half my friends are musicians. I volunteer for a radio station here called Chirp, chirpradio.org. If anybody wants to check it out, all over the world. You can stream it. Chirp.org, chirp, chirp, chirp. It's amazing. You want to hear Chicago music and all over the world, from all over the world, just great music, listen to Chirp. I'm telling you.
Is it
no commercials, all independent. It's an amazing, amazing independent radio station, if not the best.
Is it internet, or is it a real radio station?
No, it's a real radio. Nice. We have a low frequency. I say we because it's all volunteer based, 100% volunteer based. Nice. Volunteer based, volunteer run. It's completely independent.
Wow.
So yeah, that's you can't really say that about anything. About a lot of anything nowadays. It is not only it's thriving, and so it is focused on just forwarding local music from Chicago and everywhere else, and all kinds of music. That's cool. If you want to listen to some good music, and if you don't like what you hear, wait 5 minutes. It will change. There's, like I said, no commercials, no corporate sponsorships,
no rules or nothing.
That's it. It's just different DJs. You have a DJ for a couple hours, and they'll play different types of music, anywhere from R&B to classical to a little bit of punk or pop or Motown
you get to pick whatever you want.
Countries, you know.
It's up to you, the DJ, to pick it all out.
All the DJs.
That's cool. So do you follow a lot of local new young bands?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah.
God, I'm old.
Yeah.
Just a fossil.
No, you're not. This is me educating you about what's cool.
Yeah.
So you're not. You're cool by association.
My days of worrying about cool are long but past.
But you can get it at 10. So we have it in Chicago. You're not going to be able to stream it. We have a low frequency, so it's 107.1 here. Mm-hmm. But you can stream it online, chirp.org, anywhere. So you can go online right now. There's an app there. You can go online and
then I can be cool too.
You can be the cool, and Darren, you can actually type in. You can be like, I want this song. You can request a song, and if it's cool enough, they'll play it.
Or you'll have to let me know the next time you're in. I'll have to check it out. That's cool. I've longed to be on the radio. It's in the works. I'm working on it because I've definitely got the face for radio. That is for sure.
That's what my co-host always says that, Dave always says, like, I got a face for radio.
Yeah.
Honestly, you have a great voice for radio. You really do. I feel like that's the first and foremost. Have you heard people sometimes that want to do, it's like when you see somebody act and they're like, to be or not to be. And you're like, well, maybe you need a little bit of work, and you hear somebody who's like really like squeaky or, somebody really wants to be on radio. But the thing about it is, that's what I love about creatives, because anybody can do it, but you already are you're that much ahead. You already sound like you should. You should be on radio.
Well, and I get a lot of, I've been doing a little podcast tour promoting my show here, and I've run into a lot of different shows with a lot of different quality of voice and a lot of unrefined, you might say. But I also do voiceover for, commercial, whatever. And when I go out, like when I ran a audition, what do you call that? A casting call to, that's how I met you. And to go through and listen to what's out there, what people are putting out as demos and for reels. And it's like, oh, what is really? And if they're getting work, anybody can get work, and I don't know if they are or not, but it's just really, like days when I'm pissed because I haven't booked a job in a while, and I'll go on there and just listen to some other ones, and I'll be like, it's just time. It'll happen. Cause it's, there's a lot of people out there who are recording in their car, recording in their whatever. Yes. And it's like, oh,
yes,
man.
Yes.
And that's part of the pandemic too.
I forget that too. It's just get that self-tape in. If there's anybody listening that is a creative, that is the best advice that I've actually gotten from casting directors is just get the self-tape or just get that audition in. Yeah. And we're always like, oh no, I need the perfect lighting. I need the perfect setup. My hair doesn't look right. My face doesn't look right. The sound doesn't right. This is not background, but whatever. We're just constantly second guessing ourselves because we're used to rejection. So we're like, why don't they want me instead of why should they want me? That's we have to reverse those, habitual thought processes that we always think about, which is really difficult to do because you're so used to, okay, I'm used to this is not good enough or that's not right or this is not. And it really is about letting yourself
almost
shine.
Becomes
who gives
right. But well, yes, it almost becomes what's that?
No, I've talked to numerous people who actually they had an audition in their car. Granted, when you're in LA, half to most of the time you're driving in your car, you're commuting. So they had to do auditions in their car while they're sitting in traffic. Right. And they were the one they got parts when they were just auditioning in their car. Yeah. The acoustics are great. Don't ever second guess your car.
Well, there you go.
If you're worried about you have roommates, you have kids, whatever, go to your car and do an audition. I'm telling you.
You heard it here on the DK Project from a true professional in the car.
If you're worried, go to the car. Well, if you don't have a setup at home, go to the car.
If you don't audition, you're 100% not going to get it. So exactly. At least if you turn something in, you're going to get something. There's a chance. What you're saying is there's a chance. So that's
the Wayne Gretzkying of acting. Don't just do it. Okay, well, just do it. Go to your car, make those shots.
They did. Speaking of Gretzky, it was his daughter's birthday this weekend. Didn't get an invite, but whatever.
Wow, I did. Way to not invite us both, Gretzky.
There's a lot of people, and I learned this very early that the acting piece that everybody wants to do. Like you're saying, to be or not to, the acting is very difficult to do. It's not, and I mean, for me, I mean, people, obviously there's people that are natural, Tiger Woods is a natural good at golf, I mean, everybody has their sweet spot, but that the acting portion is actually really not as easy as people make it out to be. And that's why during this stupid pandemic, everybody and their brother is now all of a sudden a recording artist or a podcaster or a voiceover person, because you can buy a microphone for $50 at Best Buy and boom, you're in the game.
Yep.
But whether you're shelling money out or bringing money in is a different story.
That's true. And unfortunately, I feel like that is more so the part of our world that really gauges what we do. So, we unfortunately have a responsibility financially as well as creatively. And so now you could be non-talented, but if you bring in a lot of viewers and you make a lot of money, people are going to choose you over someone who might be more talented. And it might take that person longer
that's so
to get
true.
To the place where they're at, unfortunately. And a lot of creatives, that's the thing, is there could be people that are now they don't know how to market themselves or brand themselves, if you will. And that's the most unfortunate thing, because it takes time, it takes effort, it takes, knowledge. There was, I feel like nowadays when you look at, musicians or actors back in, say the 60s or, the 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, none of them would have been founded if it wasn't for a certain type of industry that they had back then, they wouldn't have been. No. Jim Morrison, do you think he would have been on social media? Are you kidding me? That guy hated that. He hated it. He would never have been anywhere close to some kind of Twitter or Instagram. He was anti-establishment. You know what I mean? So he wanted to be kind of in the limelight, but not really. And he hated how
it was a completely different time.
Him. I feel like it was a different time. Yeah. People, I talk about this with certain creatives because this is a different time that we're living in. I grew up, I'm like a partial millennial. I don't want to give away how old I am.
Partial?
I'm totally 23 in my brain, but no, I look 23. But I'm in my 30s. So I was born in the 80s.
Yeah.
So I grew up, we had one phone in the kitchen. We didn't have cable. We had basic channels. We went outside and played. Like we came in when the lights came on, like the street lights came on. We didn't have cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone until I was maybe 18.
Wow.
I didn't have, I mean, that's the thing but that's your reaction. You're like, wow, oh my God, there's infants with iPhones.
But that phone was just a call. That wasn't all the other
They are tweeting and Zooming at like 2 years old. I'm like, what are you doing, parents? It's weird. To me, it's weird. I'm sorry, but it's weird. It's like, I'm not trying to sound old. I'm just trying to like understand why
it's an easy
at
babysitter.
Like 3 years old at like piece of technology that it is very dangerous to be a part of. Now I'm looking at, infants in strollers and they're looking at a phone instead of looking around.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
And so don't get me wrong. I love technology. I love what, we're capable of and the tools that, we can utilize. But I mean, this kid's not even looking at trees and birds and stuff. He's like looking at, whatever.
That's so true. They don't have any idea.
And they're not going to understand, like, this is a part of like developmental, like parts of the brain.
Well, I think
so.
A lot of parents
that part kind of worries me. So as an actor, I feel like I have a responsibility to make sure the content also that I create is relevant and positive and focus on making sure people remember their feelings and not just escapism.
Right.
That's why I don't like social media as much, because I don't like, monkey see, monkey do. I'm bored, I'm going to watch you. You're bored, you watch me.
Yeah.
And that's really what, Instagram and it's all a business anyway. So, I love podcasting and I love, radio.
Right.
So I would never, be against this, but it's a different life that we're living right now.
Well, and I think that the parents have just become so accustomed to, the kid will sit there and look at the iPad for an hour, then I don't have to deal with the kid because they're screaming and whatever. Well,
yep.
And then I think that the what they're doing there is different. I every time my 14-year-old comes around and talks about, this YouTuber I watch is making all this, makes my skin crawl because these people, it's crazy. But the podcast world is really an opportunity for people to be creative, but it's kind of it's the cassette to CD to whatever they are now. It's radio to podcasting. Like radio is going to go away. Like it's the same thing with TV where people can record everything now and watch it when they want to watch it, which is essentially what podcasting is you can just listen when you want to listen to what you want to listen to. The problem as we find it as a podcaster is that they're not going to spin down the dial and find you. You have to make yourself get found, for lack of a better term. And that's where the difficulty comes in, because there's just no, and that's where you have to utilize Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of crap. I don't speak Twitch. I don't know any of that kind of stuff. But my kid's fluent in it. But it's such an interesting time from where we were when I grew up. It was shit. You didn't even have a cassette thing in your car. Well, my parents had a car, not my car. My first one had one. But
oh yeah.
So
the knobs, the dials. You remember that? Oh yeah. And then when you got the push buttons, and they would go to a certain like stations
5.
that you that was a big deal. And we had ashtrays everywhere in our station wagon.
I just bought a car.
We had the suicide seat in the back. Oh my God, that was great.
Oh, in the back of the station wagon? Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a shaggin' wagon. We had the suicide seat. You remember those in the back?
That was technically the third row.
And then ashtrays, the metal ashtrays everywhere.
I just bought a car.
I don't even know who's smoking. You know what I want to see? I wanted to see, like, I wish that we had one photo of like me with like a cigarette when I was like 8, like in the back.
It was
like,
okay then.
That would have been hilarious. Because nowadays you wouldn't have been able to do that. And again, like, I love that we're evolving. I love that, obviously, things change and then we're like, maybe we shouldn't be smoking in a hospital. Like, that makes around a pregnant woman. Like, that makes sense, evolve the species. But it is funny to look back and say like, oh, this is what we grew up with. And I agree, it's really different to speak to the younger generation and how they view technology, because it's not the same. For me, I don't pick up my phone a lot. I literally don't pick up my phone. I say literally in the actual word. I do not pick up my phone and look at it every 5 seconds.
I
put it down. If I'm like right now, difficult. I haven't picked up my phone for 46 minutes.
You are shaking a little bit. A little like that, like you're coming down, you're withdrawing. I just bought a car in June with that has an ashtray. It's normal. It has an ashtray, and I'm like, that's kind of weird.
It is an ashtray. I mean, it is an addiction. Like, phones are an addiction now. We're so used to scrolling and posting and getting those bad likes. You get dopamine. You have like 50 likes. People liked it. You get a rush of dopamine. It's a high. So people, they don't always understand where. Well, maybe you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do anything, but you're on social media half your day. That's an addiction. Crack. That's also an addiction.
Yeah,
so
it's sure.
It's the difference between, creating and consuming. I feel like there's a difference.
And I wonder how long it'll be before there's a 12-step program for
Oh my gosh,
time.
Yes. How have we not been talking about this?
Don't tell anybody.
Darren, you are on to something. Honestly, you should start the Darren 12-step program.
All you get to do during the day is listen to my podcast. You can't look at anything else.
Number one, take your phone, throw it out the window. Second rule of no podcasting club. Don't talk about no podcasting club. You know what I mean?
No, we don't want it to be the no podcasting club. We want it to be the no screen time club.
Yeah, no social media club.
These kids would go berserk. It would be terrible.
And the thing is, what happened to outside though? The thing is, I'm okay with technology, but we had Nintendo. That was our thing. Like, we had Nintendo growing up. And so we played video games, but we also went outside to play. Like, what happened to going outside and playing? Is that not cool anymore?
No,
or
definitely not cool.
Is it weird? Is it like in Minneapolis as well too? Like in Chicago? Remember when we were younger and you'd see kids playing? Like in playgrounds or in yards, just in yards.
There's a lot more to that because of the internet. Now there's a way for these weirdos to connect, and now there's more weirdos out there. So there is that. But I think that the kids just don't, and to go full circle here, back to your White Sox, there's a real problem in the youth today. You're losing your baseball teams. Like my son's whatever team, the rec team, they couldn't barely put a 13-year-old team together this year because all these kids are on these screens and it's 20,000 things going on at once. They can't stand on a baseball field and wait for a kid to hit a ball. So lacrosse is taken off like crazy because it's constantly moving. Soccer's constantly moving.
That's true. Yeah. Football, I mean, they're
moving.
It's a 4-second sport, right? Basically. You're absolutely right.
But in baseball, they're standing there waiting and little Johnny can't pitch, but nobody's going to say Johnny can't pitch.
But the funny thing is, then Queen's Gambit is doing fantastic on Netflix, and chess is the longest sport.
Is that what that's about?
That's
Joe
the thing.
Rogan
It's like
posted about
4
that today.
seconds or 4 hours. It's like one or the other.
Is that what that's about? I haven't seen it. Joe Rogan posted about it.
It's great
today.
It's great. I highly suggest it.
I'm on.
It's really good.
I'm on Animal Kingdom right now. I think I'm halfway.
Kingdom.
It's okay. It's what's her name? Ellen Barkin and bunch of surfer dudes that play her kid.
Oh, right.
And,
actually, yes, that was partially that was filmed in San Diego. So yes, I think I worked on that show. Oh, wow, that's really weird. Wow. Actually, that's how much I work. Is I don't even remember what shows I work
on.
To
you,
that's
patting yourself
not a bad
on the
thing.
shoulder.
That's not a brag. That's not a brag. That's a working actor. That is just.
What did you do in it?
I probably did some like background work or something. It's one of those things where, and the thing is, here's what I also want to say too, is there's been a lot of, I've unfortunately been around some people that they claim that they're working and they're in the industry, but they've barely even worked. They've, been acting, maybe they've been auditioning really for like 6 months, a year, and they claim to be an actor. It's the same thing. You don't claim to be a comedian and you're not doing sets.
Right.
I would never claim I'm a comedian. I do comedy, but I'm not a comedian. I would be grateful to be a comedian, and it would be a terrible life, but I'd be happy to do it because I love comedy. But there's people that they claim that they're like above background work. If you're really a working actor, if there's work, you will be on set.
Right.
I have had mentees, and I call them. I actually called them dreamers. That was my word for them. But I was mentoring my dreamers, these younger people to wanted to be in the industry, and they were curious how to start and what to do.
Yeah.
And I wanted to navigate them so they wouldn't get screwed over by these casting companies or trying to charge them.
That's
nice. For getting work and all this stuff. And so that's one of the major things is if you're not ready to be in any part of the production process, you really don't love what you're doing.
Right.
It's just like, if you want to own a restaurant, you need to be able to wash the dishes, cook the food, answer the phones, like do every single part to understand what you're actually fulfilling.
That's so true.
And so if I meet an owner of a restaurant and they can do everything, I want to be there every day because I know they care about it. I know they know every ins and outs and all the facets of it. Same thing with anybody that I work with in the industry. If they respect, they don't need to like do every job, but if they respect all of the jobs, then I know that they care about what they're doing. Same thing goes for actors. That's not you. You're not the center of attention all the time. I'm sorry, but if you think that you're like, oh, where's my close up? And you're barely doing work for auditions. You have a couple auditions for 6 months.
Right.
You don't deserve a close up yet. You got to put in your dues. You need to put some work into it. There's a lot of
people that aren't willing to do that.
And it's fun too. It's wonderful. And it sucks because some people don't want to see that. And I have been grateful enough to work on like every part in production, and like I've been on sticks and I've done script supervising and producing and writing.
Help you be better at your craft.
It makes me better at what I do, and it helps me understand everybody else's job, so I can come in and be the last little piece. You're the little piece that makes it all pretty, but everybody else is doing so much work around you that it really, like my crews, I love them so much. My crews are the best. I appreciate them so much. They do so much hard work. These people, men, women, they are amazing. All of them.
Well, and you know that because you've walked in their shoes. You know that there's a lot to it.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to start watching for you on my Animal Kingdom now, so that I can tell you what part you were in.
I'll show up there. What other? I didn't even know that was still on the air.
Well, no, it's like Amazon priming it.
Yeah, I did Utopia too. That's on Amazon Prime. I did Utopia.
What about that's Billions? I'm going to Billions next.
No, that's on. I think they film in LA. Most shows they either film in LA or Atlanta now. Thank you, Tyler Perry.
There we go. Hey, I had this whole list of things that you got to have some backup material. I got news. I got funny Christmas shit. We didn't get to any of it. We just took the cap off and started running. I love it.
Yeah,
that's perfect. That's exactly what we need. It was very good because we got to know you a little bit, and now the real work comes in when we do a follow-up show and make some podcast magic happen. We got to wrap this up. We got to cut it. I got to trim it down. We went long.
That's fine.
Nah.
Trim it like the podcast tree that you will. All right.
It'll be golden. But we
Christmas tree. Trim it down.
There we got our holiday plug in there with the Christmas tree.
I was gonna fit it in sooner or later. So.
I like it. Well, we want to thank Kristin Naomi Garcia for stopping in, and you're probably going to hear from her again on a future episode. So thanks for listening, podcast fans. Thanks, Kristin.
Thank you so much, Darren. I appreciate it so much. It was such a blast, and I couldn't be happier. So I will see you all hopefully again.
Yes.
Merry holidays and happy Christmas, I guess, to a 2021 that is a better year. So
bingo.
Appreciate you.
Thanks so much. That's it. That's the end.
That's a wrap.
Read the shtick.
That's a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends. If you'd like to reach out, you can use the studio line at 612-504-6500 or by email, thedkprojectpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always social media at the DK Project Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.